Hey friends, welcome to Mystic Revolution. Susana and I are so glad you're here. We're in season 3, Conscious Creation, and we're going to focus on creating in challenging times. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this conversation, where we go, because boy, there's so much to get into. But first, a little meditation. So when you're ready, let's start to notice our bodies. Let's start to notice the rhythm in our bodies. There's blood moving, there's lymph moving, there's air moving. Maybe let yourself have a little more breath. And now let's notice that our bodies are one with the earth, connected to the earth, supported by the earth. Let's let go like sand in our hands of whatever is not bringing us ultimate joy, whatever is not from right now, whatever is not aligned with our best and highest good. Let's just let go. And what we're doing is we're cleaning out the closet so there's space for more wonderful, more joy, more highest good. So we're letting go and then naturally filling up with the goodness of heaven and earth in our own space by just letting go. And as we let go, the sand falls down from our bodies to the center of the earth, reminding us how much we're connected. Awesome. Great. If you hadn't noticed, let's take a deep breath. And release that to the center of the earth. And when you're ready, you can start to move around if you'd like. I will, because I've got to talk along with Susana, but you can stay in this meditative state and listen to us if you want. Take a little body break. That would be wonderful. Okay, Susana, so hello to creating in challenging times.
Yeah, I wanted to dive into this subject because I know right now a lot of people are going through challenging times. A lot of people around the world are. And if we look at things, there is the perspective that a lot is going wrong in the world. There's a lot of darkness. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of loss. And then every person has their own experience of that going on. I mean, based upon what we've all been through, I mean, with the pandemic, but obviously beyond that. And of course, there have been earthquakes and other things going on that we hear about and that we hear about here. Obviously, these other people are experiencing the devastation of that. And that's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
And, people are experiencing illness or injury, pain in the body, maybe pain in the heart over losing a loved one or a breakup. I mean, so many things. And I don't mean to go on and on about all the horrors that happen, but horrors happen in the human experience. And how can we continue to live, continue to create, continue to, own our place in the world with these kinds of challenges. And I know that's a big question. It's probably more than one episode, but I really thought it was important to touch on this in this series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's more challenge. Like, I actually like a challenge. I have to own that. I have to own it. Like, I'm just like, it's not even worth going for a walk along some straight thing. I want like a little bit of a rise, so it's hard for me,
Sure.
It is hard in these times. But there's also so much attention and need that it can help open us to start to stand in the gap.
Yeah.
And because there's a lot of shit going down for people individually, different sets of groups of people, all these things, and then the whole planet. There's a lot. And so there's much need. Can we, we're made for times like these.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think that's an important point. If we weren't made for times like these, we wouldn't be here right now.
yeah,
We are in these times and we are living. So I think that's something to lean into.
yeah, yeah. And, it's so easy to get overwhelmed or try to take on too much. And I don't want to make it like an advertisement, but like it's very central to what we share when we work with people about like taking human bites and about, staying in our own lane and not trying to carry the whole world on our shoulders like Atlas.
Mhm.
And not taking on everybody's emotions. Like sometimes empaths are, for example, have so much capacity to be superheroes and make a big difference because we can perceive what's going on. But if we're too open to, if the radio's too high in the emotions, if we take on too much stuff, if we try to fix too many problems for everyone else out of our lane, we can't do anything,
Yeah.
right? So like it really helps to get like maybe some good coaching, some good mentoring, to notice, see around who is doing this well, and like learn, and then so that we can really make a difference because the difference is needed.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate what you're saying. And I think, when I think about if we're talking about steps or things to do, allowing um, allowing yourself to discern really like what's immediate and what's not,
Yes,
what's specifically yours to dial into and what's
yes,
not. And even when we're in the really dark night of the soul, that can help alleviate part of it. And if you're a sensitive person and you take on everything, I mean, I think it's imperative that you do this. And it can be as simple as, you know, not watching the news 24/7. I mean, honestly, that can dial it down quite a bit. If you're dealing with something that's deep and personal, I mean, that's a whole thing. And then we get into what we talked about last time about, okay, where can I focus in this moment, in this human bite, in this
yeah,
bite-sized chunk? Can where can I focus? And um, it may just be, for the moment, just holding your heart and just being with the pain. Um, but there are, I mean, I think both of those things, that discernment and like just being in the moment with what is as it is,
yes,
are important in this conversation.
extraordinarily important.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and really, really getting the idea, like, what is my purpose, calling? Where are my gifts? Like, where is, because I can't fix all the things. I can't save all the starfish on the beach. Just can't. If I do it night and day, I can't do it. But if I'm helping my neighbor because that's my call, or if I'm, raising my children to be extraordinarily themselves, or like if we can just own that what we're doing and what we're called to and where our gifts draw us makes our difference. And if everybody
Yeah.
does their difference, then the world transforms.
Yeah, that's so good. I think I think in recent years there's been this big push of like, I've got to go out there, and if I'm a healer or an empath, I've got to do some big thing, or I don't care what it is. It's got to have this like big presence, this big global reach. And that's awesome if you
Hmm.
have that.
Hmm.
However, I feel like it's the going to the neighbor and tending the neighbor. It is taking time each day to be with your heart and tend to the wounds of your heart.
Yes,
It's
it's
those
huge.
really, they aren't small, they're profound.
Mhm.
And it's that focused attention again that really makes a difference.
Mhm.
And I know we both had our own versions of challenging times. And, in many ways, I'm sure someone watching this could be like, well, it's easier said than done. And,
Yeah.
and that's for sure. Um, I recall a time when I was younger, I was married. And when that broke up or broke down, it was, I mean, anyone who has a breakup knows how hard that can
Oh,
be.
so
Um, and I started, this goes back to the conversation of practices and provisions. I it was suggested to me that I allow myself at least a half an hour every day to sob, just sob, just be full on with the pain. And right, it could be any length of time, but the idea is that it is a specific length of time,
mm,
it's limited, and that after that, I had to have an agreement with a friend that I would be calling them, right? I'd be calling them right after, and their job was to, be gentle, but also be like, okay, like what do you got next on the agenda to move
right.
things forward?
I
And
check
so,
marked the sobbing. So now what's next?
right? And if I needed something more, right, like to help me figure out how to tend to that. And
Right.
um, I think it's, we have to take time to validate
Yes. And
the
care for the body.
suffering and
Yeah.
care for the body, care for the heart, care of the body, validate the suffering. And then we are more than the suffering, we are more than the pain. And so then allowing ourselves or getting in the practice of, we are in this, and can you get up out of bed and talk to a friend and make a heart and make a interpersonal connection? Or,
Mhm.
can you get out of bed and feed the cat? I mean,
Mhm.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And in this case, right, like getting up and feeding the cat, right? That's tending for another living human being.
Yeah.
It's helping to create an environment for a little creature that is positive and good. And, you know, this is, it seems small or inconsequential, but it's huge. And when
Mhm.
we can think about these little steps when things feel like, everything's going south or the world is about to implode, yeah, I think it can help us and it can help those around us.
Very much. And like depending on our nature, um, like maybe, you loved the cat. And so like it's this very positive cycle, adding positive movement and feeling good about it after it adds a little air to the balloon, a little
Yes.
helium to the balloon. Or some of us are highly motivated to help other people or make a difference in the world, and allowing ourselves to engage in that even a little bit, even if it's like in our pajamas or whatever. Like it adds a little heat to the balloon, and next thing you know, that balloon is rising us because we're getting a different trajectory.
Or getting a different trajectory. And, I think when we can do that, now I'm thinking about like the larger world where things are going on. Now I can't control what's going on in another country. What can I do right here, right now in my own space?
Hmm.
And tending to ourselves, tending to those around us. I mean, again, that's more than enough.
Yeah.
Going to work and, tending to your doing your job to the best of your ability, it seems like, oh, that's not very exciting, or, I hate my job, or whatever it is. But having something to do, something to create, I'm going to say, even if you hate your job, there is something that can be created in that. Whether it's you taking on a new perspective, you doing something nice for a customer or a coworker that's sort of above and beyond, um, you know, playing little games in your mind with how you're interacting with, whomever that may be rubbing you the wrong way. I mean, there are ways to create, to get through, to continue on with life, and as we move forward through the challenge, through the pain of something.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in saying this, I am in no way like undermining people's pain or suffering. As I said, sometimes you just like laying flat out for however long it takes is creating, it is healing, right? And then how do you create out of that?
Yeah, something else. You know, what comes to mind for me is one of the things, speaking of breakups, I've been through a few. And one of the habits that I've had is exercise.
Mm.
I mean to have that in my life anyway, but I found so many times to have structures of moving my body outside, or,
Yeah.
if it's winter, dancing around the living room with a tape or whatever. And yeah, I just want to say there's more times than I'd like that I'd dance around the living room crying,
Yeah.
or go swim and cry, or go biking and cry. Like, it's not like I didn't do that many times. But it's like, all right, well, exercising, is wonderful and annoying, but if I'm miserable anyway, I might as well exercise. That's what I tell myself. Right? Well, if I'm going to be miserable, I might as well move my body. And then I move my body and I actually do feel better. Right?
Yeah.
Eventually I stop crying, and eventually the wonderful chemicals of the body kick in, and it really does help shift my day. I just want to say that,
Yeah.
like, I've used that a lot. And another thing I want to say about this is, because I can look back at lots of things. I was just thinking about this today, that there was this very devastating breakup when I was like 26. And I worked outside for September. I was working as a guard because all the guards went to college. And so I was working as a guard, and it was like, clean the pool, watch the pool, ride my bike to the pool, watch the ocean, ride my bike back. It was like all this movement. I was swimming, I was biking, and then sometimes I'd get home and I'd do a little running on the boardwalk. And I look back at it. It's so fascinating because, like, I know I was effing miserable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Through a lot of that. But I look back and it's just like, oh, it was so fun I saw whales go by in the ocean, whales in New Jersey. It was extraordinary. And and I got to listen to books on tape, the version of it then. And I look back and it was like, great. And I just have a remembering of the misery, but not the feeling of it.
Yeah.
So I created this life that was really cool, and I got really more in shape, and I was really enjoying being outside and moving my body. And that created the rest of my life. And I look back and it was like, oh, that was pretty cool. So I just want to say that, like, yeah, I can lay there, and I'm really good at that, by the way. But like, if I can move my body, it really starts to help me.
I agree. Moving the body can really help. And I want to talk more about this. I think we have to take a quick break. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hey friends, Susana and I want to remind you that we offer a Mystic Revolution meditation. It's the first Tuesdays at 4:30 Pacific. Please come as our guest. You can see our website for the link. And thank you for playing with us.
Raise your vibration and energize your life with specialized Fibonacci tuning forks that deepen meditations and empower self-healing. Get your vibrational sound tools for personal enhancement at energybodytuners.com.
Welcome back to Mystic Revolution. Susana and I are so glad you're here, and we're having this wonderful conversation about when things aren't going how we want them to go, how can we still be consciously creating?
Yeah. And well, Wendy, you were just talking about how moving the body helped you through a challenging time, and ultimately, was a catalyst in moving on and moving forward. And I just wanted to touch on that briefly. Sometimes I know when things, I've had many times when I feel like I can't move at all because it's so terrible.
Much.
It's so much. And when we can, I think even if it's just, and I'm talking about like, I can't even move in the bed, right? And I'm laughing about it, but I'm sure some people can relate to this. Just a simple act of stretching an arm, taking a deep breath, getting up. I mean, walking to the bathroom or walking to the kitchen or just walking out to the window and looking out, or your porch if you have one. And those little things, I mean, that starts moving the energy. And I'm not saying we're trying to move energy to get through suffering faster. I think it takes its own time. But when we can move energy, when we can move our bodies, it puts us in a place where we aren't so swallowed up in the darkness. It, as Wendy, you mentioned, like it's like putting a little air in the balloon.
Yeah.
A little air in the balloon. And it can go slow, right? It can go slow. But when we can do that for ourselves or get other people to help us, I mean, that's also the thing. Asking for help in living, creating when we're going through something really challenging is really helpful. So, do you want to say more about like movement and dancing?
Yeah, dancing. I mean, I remember I was in a time of my life for many years where I just be like, I don't have the energy. I just worked all day. I can't go dancing. I don't, or I feel like shit. Or I was in that time of my life, I was depressed or melancholy almost until I did this training. I was depressed or melancholy most of the time. And so I'd just be like, I was just like, I don't want to go, but I'm going to drive all the way to the damn dance. And, within 10 minutes, I'm like, woohoo! Like it's really hard to be, I'm talking about country dancing where you can dance in the dance and there's it's just easy to get started and then woohoo and playing with all these people and wonderful music, right? It's like it just, we can change the energy and, whatever's happening, I can take my eyes off of that for a couple hours and celebrate. And that actually helps the world, I just want to say, bringing more celebration energy, higher vibration, moving off out of all the melancholy and heaviness. It actually really helps not just us, it helps everyone in our field.
Yeah, absolutely.
It helps the tipping point.
Yeah. And, along with that, if we can even move it in the energy that we're in. If I think about, so the voice practice that I have and I work with people. One of the things is like, can you dial in, right, to the feeling? And if that feeling could say something or could voice something, what would it sound like? Like, and literally, and this is where some very intense sounds come.
Yes. Oh, it's so
And
awesome.
and it's literally giving that pain, or that burden a voice. And we work with a lot with people, like people who like felt they were silenced in their
Yes.
childhood, or
Oh,
right.
so much. Yes.
And so much of our pain, we do that to ourselves. Well, I don't want to bother people.
Right.
I've been grieving about this for a year now, and I don't want to bother anybody else, or whatever it is.
Hmm.
And sometimes when we can just let that pain have a voice, through our own voice or through our bodies. I mean, I have a friend that works with people, like dancing their pain, dancing their suffering. What does that
Yeah.
look like when you let your body like fully
Hmm.
embody it, and like,
Right.
and
Authentic movement. Yeah.
authentic movement?
Hmm.
Yeah. And in that moment, right, you're creating.
Yes.
You are creating a dance of whatever it is, creating a song or a sound of whatever it is. I mean, in so many other countries, like in grieving, there's songs of grief, there's the wailing, there's the lamenting, and it sounds
Yes.
so, I find it haunting and beautiful. And there's like a real important purpose behind it too.
Hmm.
It's moving energy, right? It's
Totally.
moving energy.
And it's helping other people move energy, because some
It's
people are more adept at allowing that place, going to that place, and then it helps other people let go and go through that grief.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, one of the things when I have clients that are dealing with anger, I'm like, can you get in a car and just like go park in, some warehouse parking lot or something, and just scream your freaking head off? Can you just do
Hmm.
that?
Hmm. Yeah.
Because we don't give ourselves time and space to just literally have that visceral, right? The visceral
Yes.
expression of that.
Yes. And it's self-validation. It's so
Yes.
sometimes it's hard to get validated from the outside world, and we can
Mhm.
get it from heaven and earth, but it helps the body for it to get it on in the physical. And so, yeah, we can get it from other people and their empathy and such, but we can give it to ourselves by allowing our bodies to really resonate with whatever's going on,
Yeah.
and
Um,
work it out.
yeah.
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 Yeah. And so, and then that's movement, right? It's great. Like someone might say, well, how productive is that to go and scream your head off in your car? Well, I would say like way more productive than a lot of other things people could
It's
do.
certainly better than screaming at your kids or your dog or
Yeah. Or,
or the lady
doing,
at the store.
yeah, or doing self-harm, or whatever
Right.
it is.
Self-harm.
Right.
Hmm. Hmm.
And, w- in allowing that catharsis, I mean, it is a catharsis, right?
Yes.
Then there's more space for, more of who you are to come in, right? Because I mean, we are more than our suffering,
Yes.
even when it feels like we aren't, we are. And
Yeah.
so that catharsis can create more space.
It really can. Yes. Yes. And this talk reminds me also of like all the arts. I mean,
Yeah.
there's this habit of like in all the arts, written, whatever it is, putting that terrible pain onto the page, into the picture, whatever it is, into the song. Um, and it's so relatable for others. So it's like it passes that healing on.
It passes
Um,
the healing on for sure. For
mhm.
sure. And, I had a lot of time in my life when I was very sad and depressed, and I gravitated to music that was that way, because there was a validation, a
Yes,
resonance. Now I understand why, um,
right.
and also a bit of mystery, which I love. But it was really, being able to feel fully like, okay, we talk about the vibration of this music is reflecting the vibration that I'm feeling. And that's validating. It gave me like a foundation on which to explore and heal and expand more. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot we could say on this, and we will probably talk about it more as we continue through these uncertain times. But
yeah. So I'm here. I just want to say the thread that I'm hearing here is that there's a time for all things under heaven. I'm hearing that there's a time to really resonate in the whatever it is, the pain or the whatever it is, the shame or whatever, and really like get it out of us in physically real ways, whether it's talking to a friend or doing art or singing or dancing or whatever, with that vibration. And then there's also a time to allow that wave to, like, I'm done with that wave. How do I create a different vibration? How do I create a different experience? And sometimes it's the same. I can talk to a friend, I can sing a different song, I can dance a different dance, I can create different art, I can write. It's like, it's not like art's only here, it's everywhere. But I can make different choices to create a different experience. Not saying this is always over forever or whatever, but like, I've got to go to work. So, all right, I've done the crying and the exercising and the shower, and okay, now can I sing on the way to work and create a great day for myself or whatever?
Yeah.
If that's the choice.
Yeah. And I want to dovetail back to just quickly before we close, when we were starting, you were talking about, what is mine to focus on and what is not. And I think that's such an important part of this. I'll just share a little story. I recall working with one of my teachers at one time when I was overwhelmed by my own life. I was overwhelmed by the world. And I think I was, upset, crying maybe about it all. And like, well, what about, all the people that are suffering this way? Like, I feel terrible that I can't, I feel like I should be doing something. And like, I mean, she just had me stop for a second and, kind of gave me, right, the suffering happens talk.
Yeah.
And also, and this sounds a little bit intense, but you thinking and kind of getting stuck in this isn't helping anyone.
Yes.
It's not helping anyone. It's least of all yourself.
Right.
So it's not helping the people, the homeless people in your city. It's not helping the people on the other side of the world.
Right.
It's nice that you feel bad about them. And it's not your fault that you're there, right? If it's great if I could blame you for all the suffering in the world, that would be awesome. It's all your fault, right? I mean, I think she even said something like that. And this is the perspective and the discernment.
Yes.
And
yeah.
She was like, I call it after that. She was like, okay, you're like you're my spiritual ass kicker. That was kind of what she did to sort of kick me out of it without invalidating that I, had stuff going on. But sometimes it's important to, have that perspective.
Yes. And thanks for saying it, because it was ringing. I have it here. It was ringing for me the whole time we were talking. And I talked about it last time, basically the serenity prayer. It's like, change the things I can change and accept the things I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference. I mean, there's so much peace in that. It's like, I can't make a difference for that. So me suffering, can I shift it? Do I choose to? Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Where can I shift it? Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's things I can do. So how about I do those?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
And that's more than enough.
That's more than enough. Thanks so much, Susana. I feel like I'm hoping this is a very validating section here. It's like a lot of stuff about conscious creation is happy, happy, joy, joy, la, la, la. And I really appreciate you delving into this part where like things are hard and how do we keep going anyway?
How do we keep going anyway? Yeah. Well, thank you for, as always, for joining in, and thank you all out there for being here. And
Yes.
Wendy's gonna close us out with a really nice meditation.
Yes. Okay, so maybe for you, certainly for me, the bottom of the pot got stirred in this conversation. So if you want to just let whatever is heavy or disturbing let go. We've named a lot of things around the world that are a challenge. If you want to let go, like sand in your hands to the earth. Or also another thing is if there's an ascended master or an angel or a healing guide that you like to work with, and be like, okay, I'm letting go and I'm putting this in Buddha's hands. Okay, I'm letting go and I'm putting this in Archangel Gabriel's hands. I'm letting go and I'm putting this in, Isis' hands, whatever. Let's play as best we can our own game and let go of what is not in our lane and we can't make a difference of. And we're just doing this a little bit energetically with sand in our hands to the earth, or giving the hand of those in need to our spiritual helpers that can really move this forward in ways that we can't. And now being right here, right now in our own bodies and breathing and being with whatever it is that is in us for a moment. And I invite you to stay with that for a little bit, being with yourself and connecting to the earth and letting go and being with the stars shining in and through you to the earth. And while you do that, we are going to say so long. And thanks for coming and playing with us here at Mystic Revolution. Thanks so much for playing with us. Please support Mystic Revolution by liking and sharing our show.
And sign up to get notified when new content is available.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Another creative art production by Retro Earth Studio.
Join us for our monthly Mystic Meditation on the first Tuesday of the month at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time.
Click on the link in the description to get more information and join the Mystic Revolution.
We look forward to seeing you then.